Hello, hello, thank you for stopping by. Today I bring you Corpse Killer for the Nintendo Switch, released for the Switch by Limited Run Games back in 2019. I've got this one on a chip, I'm sure you can get it as a download. This one was originally developed and published by Digital Pictures back in 1994, and the first place I saw this game was back on the Sega CD. It was also released on the CD32X, the 3DO, the Saturn, Windows 95, and Macintosh computers as well. The more modern releases, of course, are going to be on Steam, PS4, and, well, the Switch, of course. Like I said, I have the cart for the Switch, and I also have a disc for the PS4. Why I have two copies, I really don't know, because this game is not very good. It's certainly interesting, but it's not good. The various platforms and releases are usually differentiated by their video size and quality. Some of these earlier systems, they'd have the video in like a smaller box on the screen, instead of having it full screen, so they could offer a better frame rate and it just would look better. With modern systems, space of this nature isn't really a concern, but you're still limited here. Now, it's a full-motion video game, and when this was released, this was sort of a time when companies really were trying to push this sort of technology forward. There was really a time when I think people were starting to think that all video games would kind of go in this direction. Ultimately, it became just a novelty, and it wasn't really a major development movement. And as a result, we're left with a bunch of games that use digitized video for their core content. Some modern games do this sort of thing, and they do it much better. But we're dealing with something that came out at the beginning of this sort of concept. Now, when you have actors in games like this, I think there are certain things that have to be addressed. First, the script, the plot. When you have a really bad story for, say, a normal animated character in a video game, I think people generally accept it more. But when you have a human being acting in front of you, when you have visual, realism, you kind of want a story to flow. So if you have a ridiculous plot that's being played out in front of you by professional actors, it kind of seems to sting more to me than if it was just like an animated sprite in front of you. So acting is going to be really important. How you deliver lines is going to matter more when there's an actor on screen in front of you. I think there are natural expectations when you see somebody acting on screen, and a good actor needs to deliver believable lines. I don't know if this one suffers too much in the acting area. I think it's okay, I guess, for what it is. And the plot, I guess it's also sort of reasonable for a crummy 90s type of story. Sort of. I mean, it's called Corpse Killer, so you can imagine. Zombies are going to be involved, and the story is going to be pretty straightforward just to get things killed off on screen. There's not a lot of twists and turns to this one. You play some sort of a military-type guy that parachutes onto an island to help stop this mad scientist who's creating this zombie threat. And you will stop this threat by shooting zombies and making your way through these various stages. There are some supporting characters along the way, and they're going to fill in the plot a little bit, I guess. They sort of get the job done, and it's total 1990s distinct character appeal. They look a certain way, and I think there's not much more to say about them. I guess they serve their purpose. What I expect out of a 90s character, they're going to look a certain way, certain types of haircuts, and they're remarkably clean. I don't know, for being on an abandoned sort of island, they look really spotless. They never do much in this game besides talk. As far as the game itself goes, the gameplay, well, I think the first thing I really need to mention that this one looks totally different on the Switch if you're in handheld mode compared to being plugged in and on a television screen. Personally, I usually prefer playing my games on the big screen, but here it looks terrible. There is screen tearing everywhere, and clearly there wasn't really crisp resolution for the source video. I know the technology was really different back then. Televisions were different. Things looked better on screen because they weren't high resolution. But the overall view of this video now, this really looks like VHS recorded footage and not very good. It is not crisp. I'm going to have to check out the PlayStation 4 version just to compare the two sometime, I guess. Now, in handheld mode, it does look much better. We're talking night and day, because it's a smaller screen. You can't see the flaws. Corpse Killer, as a game, it's an on-rails shooter, and if you're playing on systems without a light gun, which these days is most modern systems, you're forced to move a reticle around the screen using the controller. Does it work? Well, on the Switch, I don't think the controls are intuitive. and moving around the screen feels awkward at best using the Joy-Cons. It's a little better with an exterior controller, but not by much. I also find myself pressing a button and accidentally canceling out of the level frequently. I guess I'm still adjusting to this one. There's really not much to it. You move around using the directional and you press a button to shoot. I don't know. It seems simple enough, but I don't know, it's missing something. It also has this really odd selection screen. At first, I thought I was stuck in the game on the extras screen, and maybe the game was broken, because there are all these boxes on screen with just videos and stuff, but no, it's supposed to be like that. It's just not intuitive as to what's actually going on in front of you. The screen has all these boxes, and you can select various videos to get some of the plot or backstory, and then you select the center box to select a level to play. Okay, just not how I would have gone about it, I guess. On the first level, I'm shooting these funny-looking zombies, and when I get to the next level, I ended up with no ammunition, so the game kind of does a poor job explaining what you're supposed to do. Sometimes you have a machine gun, and you have unlimited ammo, although it does need to recharge, so you can't just hold the fire button down forever. Another level, you're suddenly using a blowgun, which doesn't have auto-fire, so it takes an adjustment sometimes between levels. Looking at the zombies themselves, the most important part of this game, they have limited models they're working from, and most of these just look like people wearing costumes that you get at a Halloween store. Some of them are really weird looking, they have oversized heads and are just odd looking, and none of them look particularly scary. They're more humorous in most cases, and I think the biggest issue is that they don't all seem to match in basic design. One of them has this gigantic sized head, and these other are just random people with face paint. It just looks like different design groups made different types of zombies. And then the way they're animated. They walk across the screen or they walk towards you. Sometimes you get these flying zombies that look like they're just launched out of a cannon towards you. Or they look like they're walking on the air towards you. It's just goofy and strange the way they move. And some of these sort of designs also appear to be a little stereotypical. I'm seeing some zombie gang members. Okay. They just look weird, and, of course, how did they get to this particular island? I don't know. Every now and again you get this silhouetted zombie that appears on screen. They're like this flickering gray. If you shoot them, they blow up all the zombies around them on the screen, so I guess that's nice. The backgrounds. The playing field that they superimpose the zombies on. The objects in the background are not always scaled appropriately to the size of the zombies you're fighting. So you're going to get details that visually appear to be much larger than they actually are. I find there are some environments that look like they recorded an actual area somewhere and they transformed it into a game, and other places really look like somebody built a miniature. They made a model and then they used that for the video game background. So some will look realistic, some don't look realistic. It's just not a consistent appearance overall, I think. I think even also with a light gun, this one would be a little weird, just because of the way they built the game. I mean, a standard level scrolls basically left to right, and they have these random, superimposed cutout zombies shambling onto the screen, totally superimposed over the background. The background is moving at a certain speed, they're walking at whatever speed they want to walk at, it just looks bizarre. And you're just moving a reticle around trying to shoot them. For me overall, the different elements of this game, the imagery of the background, the foreground, the design of the zombies, the way the game plays, these elements just don't fit well together. It's like they started by recording a bunch of different video footage and then succumbed to what seems to be a common FMV problem. How do we build gameplay elements around this footage that we already have that allows us to progress through some sort of a story? It doesn't feel like they started with what I would have hoped they would have started with, which is fun gameplay concepts. Something that was designed to be intuitive and fun and playable, and then you merge with that, right? And try to make it as real as possible. It seems like the focus on this being a game people enjoy playing over and over again was the last thought of what they were putting together. It's just weird. So, is it a good game? No, I wouldn't use the word good. I would say it's interesting. It's not something I would track down and spend hours and hours with. But it is in a pool of video game history where these things are kind of nice to experience a little bit from time to time. It feels a little more historic than fun to me. And I know it's likely an acquired taste for most people. I know they were trying something new, and I do admire that. This one just isn't that great of an experience overall. Well, that's all I have today for Corpse Killer for the Nintendo Switch. If this is your type of video, please feel free to like and subscribe and all that good stuff, and thanks for stopping by to take a look. Hope to catch you on another video.